that you can hear me. And, oh yeah, this is that weird thing that, that YouTube does where you've got to go live and then you've got to go live. So, when you have it scheduled. So, I want to thank everybody for being here. It is now 12 a.m. So welcome to April 24th, 2021. We're going to talk about a few things. So, David Grishko is in the house. I saw Jacob Johnson earlier. And then when I scheduled this way earlier, in the evening, there was a bunch of people in the comments. And, hey, Bob Carpenter's in the house. Welcome, everybody. Welcome, welcome. So, my mother-in-law is getting married in a few hours, so we've got that. Joe with Cajoling Tech, who's been sleeping for 2 days because of his latest 5G upgrade. He is with us. It's actually 1 a.m. where Joe is at. Joe, I'm going to get about 5 hours of sleep after this stream and get up and weigh. I'm going to have coffee, and for the first time in 30 days, I'm going to have protein drink in my coffee, so that's going to be awesome. So tomorrow or today is going to be a big adjustment day. Just figuring out what kinds of things we can reincorporate back into the diet. So it'll be an interesting day, but I hope everybody's doing well. And I didn't know how many people would show up at midnight. So, hey, Jacob's in the house. Looks like there's 10 of you, 9 of you. It's bouncing all around. So if you've got questions, any kind of networking questions, IT questions, put those in the comments. Otherwise, here shortly, I'm going to switch over to the other screen. We'll talk about a few things. Not going to be as animated as last week because it's midnight and I had coffee, like a half a cup of coffee, way early yesterday morning. So, all right. Yeah, yay for new old food. Absolutely, Bob. So you don't know what you're really missing until it's gone. That's what they say. So let's switch over to my other monitor. And let's see. What does a protein drink do in a coffee? So we use salted caramel protein drinks in our coffee instead of regular coffee creamer, and so it's a little less guilt when you're drinking your coffee. So, and we usually get up early in the morning. We would drink our coffee together, my wife and I, and talk about what's going on. And to be honest with you, I kind of miss that because she doesn't drink black coffee. I do drink straight up black coffee, but she doesn't. So I kind of miss that time. So I'm looking forward to that starting again here in just a couple hours. But we're back over here to the store.ui.com website. And, I posted a video early last week asking where all the USGs have gone. And because if we cruise the site, I mean, it's literally just doesn't show up. And so I tweeted this out to Ubiquiti, and Ubiquiti came back and said that the store will present the options to potential buyers that only offer what they consider the best experience with UniFi, which is why it is pointing us to the Dream Machine, because Ubiquiti believes that this gives us the best experience with UniFi. I would probably have to agree to disagree with them, but if we go up here to the search bar and we do search for USG, and a lot of people were like, well, all you got to do is use the search bar. And yeah, that's fine and dandy, but I mean, when you completely remove something like that and then you have to search for it, it's a little odd. So it looks like the USGs are still here. You can still get to them. It looks like the price may have come down like $10 on this. Maybe they're just trying to get rid of what they've got in stock. This USG 3 is based off of the same hardware that the EdgeRouter Lite has, and if you've dealt with one of those in the last year or so, you know that those are getting long in the tooth for what we're doing with them. And then if I go back over here and I search again, but I keep having to search, right? So there Then here is the USG Pro, and obviously this is based on the same hardware that the EdgeRouter Pro has under the hood. So an interesting story, one time I heard that when they were doing product development, product ideas for UniFi, that they had a USG that was exactly like the EdgeRouter Pro, and so it had all 8 ports and everything on it. So if you look at this chassis, you'll see it's the same chassis as the EdgeRouter Pro, but they apparently had a model of the USG that never made it into production, but it had all of the same ports that an Edge. So it was basically a silver EdgeRouter with the UniFi OS, on it, and apparently ended up on eBay, and that's a no-no. So if you ever get early access gear, or in this case, it would have been pre-early access gear. So it would have been the stuff where if you're lucky enough to be in a program where they send you stuff that's not even ready for early access, then, that stuff should definitely not end up on eBay. And I think they ended up tracking down who it was. And I've seen other, when it was actually called beta gear, I saw beta gear up for sale. I saw people selling beta gear, so people would hoard it, turn around and sell it, and that's horrible practice. And so the reason that there's a media embargo for us on the Ubiquiti gear, no matter whether it's UniFi or whether it's Edge or whatever, unless we get special clearance from Ubiquiti to do a video on it, they don't want us doing a video, because when it's early access, and I've seen this in products, the final product can change, right? So they don't want us doing a video on what's not going to be the product that's actually released in the market. And it makes sense. And I respect that. So, I am going to get that video put together, the UniFi 2021 video. And what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to end up doing 2 videos. So it was split between Hostify and running a cloud key on site. And then of course everybody else was like, oh, don't do anything with a USG or whatever. But there's still plenty of small sites where it's valid, right? So I'm going to do 2 videos. I'm going to do one where we use a Hostify account and we host everything on Hostify, which if you're into UniFi, they have a great service. And if you want to use a cloud key, we're going to do that video. Barry says, I am starting to look at other solutions and getting away from Ubiquiti. The company seems to have a bad case of ADD. Yes, so they definitely seem to have some issues. If you watched my video on the Aruba Instant On VLANs, at one point, the VLAN stuff on the Aruba Instant On was a little confusing. They've straightened out a lot of stuff in their portal. They just had they just added 2-factor authentication to their portal. And in my opinion, in 2021, if I'm going to build an application, if I'm going to put an application out there that's web facing, and I push vendors for this all the time, security has to be attached to every design element that you have, and 2-factor authentication is a necessity. So over to the comments real quick. Yeah, everybody's agreeing that black coffee is the way to go. Yeah, black coffee is excellent. If you get something that's not overly acidic, man, when you get acidic, or like if anybody drinks like just straight up Starbucks, like you drink a venti Starbucks and then you take a leak, it smells like you brewed a pot in the toilet. Man, that's some strong stuff. Let's see. Hey, Jeremy's in the house. I'm glad you're here, Jeremy. I don't know how long we're going to stay either. Cajoling Technologies, the wedding is actually at my mother-in-law's house, but we've been invited to go to breakfast. I don't know how that's going to work out. I don't even know what time it is. All I know is I was told that my live stream will have to change because everybody's got to start getting ready, and so your guess is as good as mine on that one. But yeah, so definitely Aruba Instant On, and I'm going to drop a video this week about my favorite access point. Can anybody in the comments guess what my favorite access point in 2021 is? Somebody guess. Yeah, Bob Carpenter sends the craziest coffee. This horsepower stuff is just crazy. And yeah, grind the beans, and it's nuts. Joe says, I kind of like ASMR Willie. Yeah, I got to be a little quiet, and I'm glad that the mic sounds well, because my office butts up to the bedroom. So when I'm in here flailing my arms, yelling and screaming, my wife can hear it on the other side, and she's asleep. Doug Dodge is in the house. We've got an appointment coming up, and yes, that is this does count as Saturday. So Chris Merchant's in the house. Hey man, I didn't know you streamed. Just notified me. Wanted to stop by and say I appreciate your videos. They've helped me in the past. Well, Chris, I am glad you're here, and I'm glad the videos has helped you. The videos have helped you. It's been a long day, and yeah, see, that's the thing. Yeah, the YouTube notification system, sometimes, like if I was monetized or had a bigger channel, then, maybe it would let you know. But yeah, we usually stream, Chris, just so you know, we usually stream every Saturday morning at 8:30 Central, 8:30 to 9:30 Central. But tomorrow's a busy day, and I actually want a glass of chocolate milk and a piece of breakfast pizza that I've got waiting for me. And so Whole30 is done, and so we are streaming at midnight. So, yeah, so those 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, first 5 comments that guess what my favorite access point is for 2021, yeah, you are absolutely correct. So, oh no, not Cambium. Joe from Cajoling, you are wrong. So Cambium is a close second. But yeah, Grandstream is my favorite access point, and I'm going to be dropping a video on that. So Aruba is not my favorite, but it does work. And Aruba Instant On, they have made huge strides with that software. So if you like the Aruba brand and you're not really sure about it, but you need something that's inexpensive, and has that name recognition behind it, yeah, jump on that Aruba. Yeah, I've seen some videos. I think Cody did a Meraki Go video, and I'm gonna have to check it out. Oh, too bad you just a smartphone to set it up. Yeah, that's gonna put me out, David Grishko. Anything that I have to use a smartphone to set up, yeah, I'm out. Bob says the notification worked this time, so maybe you should do it for the next week. Yeah, maybe I'll start making sure that I get this scheduled at 8:30. That'll probably help get more people on too. Yeah, and so breakfast pizza. Let me see here. Let me pull up. So Bob, if you look up a Casey's General Store, is the name of the place. And so in my day job today was my part-timer Andrew, who's been with us over 2 years. Today was his last day. He's moving back up to the Chicagoland area. He's got one class left at ISU, Illinois State University. And then once his girlfriend graduates, I think they might be heading to Wisconsin. I'm not sure. But he had never had Casey's breakfast pizza. And so I definitely I bought a couple of breakfast pizzas, and it was really tough for me to sit there eating cashews and all of this healthy food while everybody else was eating this pizza, this breakfast pizza. And I'm getting ready to pull it up here and show you. So we did not get the ultimate breakfast pizza. We got, let's see here, pizza. It wasn't the, it was the 2 large breakfast pizzas for $11.99. $11.99 each. Jacob Johnson, he's probably had Casey's breakfast pizza with as close as he is. So yeah, we got a bacon breakfast pizza and a sausage breakfast pizza, and I snagged a slice from each, except the slices are pretty small. So there might have been 330 calories, but I doubt it. And the way that I've been eating anyway. But yeah, so it's got bacon and eggs and cheese, and it's got a cheddar cheese sauce. But you can actually order it with Gravy. So, yeah, yeah, it's definitely definitely interesting. Yep, yep. Oh, that's awesome. So Chris is a fan of the Synology videos. Well, thank you. So the scheduled stream did work for everybody. Okay, perfect. And Joe stayed up over at Cajoling Technologies just to catch the stream. So I appreciate it. All right. So the latest firmware update for the Cloud Key would disconnect the ACLR, require manual reboot. So what we've seen with the latest updates, we had that school that we talked about back in January, that the Cloud Key update completely trashed their network. The latest AP firmware wreaked havoc again. So I'm waiting to hear back whether they need us to jump in on that or not. But so the UniFi videos are coming, but I've also got Grandstream full stack videos coming. So let's talk about why I haven't really been pushing the QNAP videos. And I've talked about this to I talked about this with my QNAP guy, and some of this stuff is not because administrators are not updating the software. Like they had QNAP. There's one out there, you can find it. They've got hard-coded credentials in their backup software, and that's not good. They've got to fix things like that. Like you would think that all these companies that have these hard-coded credentials in their software, when like Cisco gets caught doing it, they'd be like, oh boy, we better take that hard-coded credential out. But they don't. They just keep rolling, and I can't figure out what that's all about. But anyway, there's this new QLocker ransomware that uses 7-zip to encrypt your entire QNAP device. So I do like their devices, but I got to get everything hooked up. But I got to feel comfortable. I got to feel comfortable recommending it. So I know, David says that Unky Joe is going to be posting his QNAP videos. But the thing is, like, I'm using the QNAP stuff here, but I have to feel comfortable recommending it to other people to use. And I need to get some clarification from QNAP on some of these things before I can feel comfortable pushing this to you. It's not like, you've got an AW instance and you don't secure the bucket. You know what I mean? Like it's, but this ransomware stuff is definitely, this is scary, right? And apparently there was a way to recover it. The ransomware people figured out there was a way to recover it for free, and they changed it like on the fly. And it talks about that in here. Yeah, right here. A bug was discovered last night that allowed victims to recover their 7-zip password for free, but was soon fixed after being discovered. So the ransomware creators saw that, and they were like, ooh, better fix that. So they did. So I want to get some more information. I've got to put some more QNAP stuff out there because, the hardware is, when you look at hardware, the hardware of QNAP versus the hardware of Synology, QNAP has a larger offering of hardware and different higher end hardware and things like that. Synology is starting to get there, but it's I have to feel comfortable. It all goes back to that. I can't feel comfortable recommending something that I'm not comfortable using, right? And when these types of things that are out there, and it's not necessarily because the software's not updated, like there's a lot of questions. So Fortinet, Cisco, all these companies, Juniper, hard-coded keys. Come on, what are we doing? This is Bush League over here. So Doug Dodge, what it was is in the some of the backup software. QNAP had embedded credentials, admin credentials. So they got to get that fixed. Yeah, a lot of people like TrueNAS. I just haven't, I tinkered with it. If you go back, I might have done a video on it, and I've always tinkered with it, run it on hardware, but it's just not something that I deploy and support, because a lot of my stuff I hand off to the end user. We don't require you to pay us. We don't require you to ever even call us back. And so I need the solutions to be easy enough for an end user to be able to, for us to take the training wheels off. And, Synology fits that bill. Grandstream fits that bill. Ubiquiti fits that bill. Now Aruba Insinon fits it. But so there's a lot of companies that fit that bill. And David Grishko, you're exactly right. For business, I would still recommend the Synology. And that's our go-to at the moment, And then Bob says, QNAP ignored security researchers' notifications for months until they released the last issue. So, yeah, there's that too. So, speaking of Ubiquiti, I was looking, their stock price from this whole scandal still has not fully recovered. And I don't know if it will. Maybe that's the correction the stock needed. I don't know. I'm not a stock analyst, but I was looking around at a couple other things, because if you're into crypto, you saw a pretty good correction today. So I was just checking stocks to see where things were at. And here's one that I wish I would have jumped on, which was Cambium. And because you can see a year ago, it was like $3 and some odd cents a share. And I was like, oh yeah, I'll get some. Then I kept jacking around, and Joe was distracting me by being a good friend, and we were having conversation, and I kept saying, yeah, I'm going to do it. Yeah, I'm going to do it. And now here we are. It is $60.77 a share, which makes it unaffordable for Willie to invest at the moment. So, like I said, if like Starlink goes public, I won't miss that one. But I think like in the IPO there, it's going to be one of those ones that's maybe overpriced, so it'll have to have a correction too. But I definitely wish I would have got in on the Cambium stock. However, now that I say that, I'm working with a customer of mine that's an ISP out east, and he bought a switch, and in the marketing propaganda that we have, it says that it supported 24 volt passive PoE, and in the software, when you go to configure PoE, you get 24 and 48 volt passive as an option, but you can't turn it on. And so now we've got a ticket open with Cambium, and they're like, oh yeah, this switch doesn't support it. And we're like, well, why was it in the marketing propaganda, and why is it in the software? So we're going to try to get them to swap the switch. I bet Cambium will do it. Cambium is very customer focused, and I'm going to be honest with you, this is the first time I've ever had anything questionable out of Cambium. So, all right, back over to the comments. Yeah, Jacob says, yeah, TrueNAS is not very end user friendly, and end users can probably break that quickly. Yep. Is it hard to transition from QNAP to Synology if I want to defect? No. Nope, it is certainly not difficult at all. In fact, you could just use rsync and copy your shares over, configure it. Hell, there might even be a conversion tool at this point. I don't know. I haven't looked, but there could be. So there are unsupported third-party software repositories for Synology, so you could check that out. It's possible that somebody has written a conversion tool for that. I just don't know. Doug, which equipment are you asking about those APIs for? Is Buffalo Link Station in the circle, the Terra Station? Is that what you're talking about, Chris? So I actually do have a Buffalo Terra Station right now. It's got 4 2-terabyte hard drives in it, and we actually have that in production. It's got one bad drive, and so we're going to be moving the files off of that actually here in the next week, and then we'll be pulling that Buffalo Terra Station out. Yeah, the Buffalo Terra Stations used to be hugely popular and very, very simple software, but they worked. And the iOmega NAS devices too, I still have like 3 of those in play, and those have got to come out as well. Joe says, wait, how did I stop you from buying Cambium? Nah, I'm just messing with you, Joe. I like to give you a hard time. Robert says, come on, Willie, drop a couple $100,000 on Cambium. If I had a couple $100,000, I would put it on my mortgage. At this point, I wouldn't buy Cambium. But any spare money that we come up with, we drum up with, is going to go on the mortgage. So, all right, back over to So when I do the Grandstream video, when I do the Aruba video and all that stuff, you're probably asking yourself, well, what gateway are you going to use? Well, I'm definitely not going to use Ubiquiti. So I've got a couple options. So we could do a MikroTik, which this is the Hex S, and this has been configured for a customer. It's got an open VPN server on it, and great little device, right? Takes on the EdgeRouter X and beats it. And you know me, I love the EdgeRouter X, $50 router. Get this. We tried to order some EdgeRouter X's. They are sold out everywhere. Streakwave got back with us, and they're the largest of the distributors for Ubiquiti. And they have 2,000 orders for EdgeRouter X's that are unfulfilled and are supposed to be fulfilled. Their time is like 5 to 7 weeks. It's absolutely crazy. So my other two options for this, obviously OPNsense is our go-to. So we're going to run the Protectly devices, and we're either going to run OPNsense or we are going to run IPFire. So obviously OPNsense is based on BSD. You can get professional feed for this, or IPFire, which is built on Linux. So you're going to start seeing the IPFire videos as well. I really like the IPFire distribution. So, and you'll have to hold your questions because we'll go through installing it on your Protectly and all that good stuff. Bob, I don't know what the throughput on the Hex S is for VPN. I honestly don't know that. All right, back to the comments real quick. David Grishko says Buffalo was there until the Synology came around. Yeah, Buffalo, and they had the notifications. I'm trying to think if there's really anything it lacks. So, though, the software's clunky. If you've seen the Buffalo Terra Station software, just clunky. It's not good, but it gets the job done, right? And that's the important part. But yeah. All right. Have you plugged that device in yet? So no, I have not yet plugged in that Protectly. But yeah, check out IPFire. Let's check out the features on it here real quick. So obviously, security is huge, right? So that's why we run firewalls. That's why we do IDS, IPS, and of course the primary objective of IPFire is security. And so it does have IDS and IPS, and it is purpose built, and it does have the SPI, Stateful Packet Inspection Firewall, built on top of NetFilter. Let's see what else they've got. I'm not sure who they use for IDS, IPS. Let's see here real quick if it'll tell us. So that's unfortunate that does not exist. I was trying to read the comments and that at the same time. So they do have, and of course they have VPN. So they support IPsec and OpenVPN. And here they talk about the interoperability between Cisco and Juniper. And then here's like a list of all of the add-ons, right? So this is where most software packages are going to show you how powerful they are, right? Is with the add-ons. Excuse me. And so IPFire add-ons, you've got a Tor browser, you can have a Samba server, NFS, TFTPD. And here's the thing that I can't figure out is like, why do you want your firewall to be a Samba server? Why would you do that? Don't do that. Let the firewall do a firewall and a couple cool things that don't have to do with exposing files or hosting file shares. Don't do that. Supported, but just because you can doesn't mean you should. You can turn it into a wireless access point. It can be a print server. Oh, this is cool. Allows you to scan documents over the network with a web interface. Why would you do that on your firewall? Let's see. This looks like there's you can run Bacula on it. Borg backup as a dedupe program. Like, I don't know why I'm going to run that on my firewall. This one's kind of important though. The MDNS repeater daemon. Mail server. Don't run a mail server. Don't run a mail server on your firewall. Just don't do it. All right. Okay. And you can run a BitTorrent client. Come on, don't do this on your router. Killing me. IPFire itself, I used to run it a lot, and we're getting back into it. And from a firewall side, it's super easy to configure and just works. You can run a voice over IP system on the firewall. Don't do it. Don't run a voice server on your firewall. Looks like you can make it a jukebox, a streaming server, video recording, streaming. Like, why? Don't do it on your firewall. Okay, so under security, we got Guardian, transforms the default snort IDS into IPS. I don't know if you pronounce this Linus or Linus, but is a command line auditing tool for local scanning of system and software. Free radius, Spectre meltdown checker for all your Intel stuff that's going on. Shell tools, here we go, network tools. So you got a bandwidth monitor, so I can see that on your firewall. FPing, I can get down with that. HA proxy for sure. IF top, iPerf, JPerf. iPerf tests on stuff drive me nuts. So when I start doing my Wi-Fi, because I got a bunch of Wi-Fi videos coming out, when I start doing my videos on those, I promise you I'm not going to do iPerf. I'm not going to do iPerf tests because it's not what most people need to know, want to see. That's for the more technical folks. And I've got a much simpler way. Even you saw that I was running, self-hosted speed tests how long ago? And I've even got a way to test the files that's even better than, or to test the transfer speed even better than that. So that'll be coming. David Grishko, you can run internet on your firewall. Doug Dodge, if there was a firewall that made coffee, count me in. Joe over there, he's feeling pretty frisky. He's digging the Willie Howe ASMR channel this morning. Let's see. Yeah. Okay, so back over here. So then it looks like we got iPerf, JPerf, IPTraf. So that's reasonable to run on your firewall, right? So you can see what's going on. VRRP, traceroute and ping tool, Nmap. I don't know that I'd run Nmap on my firewall. Nginx for sure if you're doing reverse proxy. S-Tunnel, which is an SSL encryption wrapper. TCP dump, you really need that. Traceroute, I get that. T-Shark, Netcat. So a lot of this stuff is really going to be troubleshooting and diagnostic tools. And then Bird's pretty popular if you're running IP version 6. So you can check that out. And then here's that speed test CLI. Other tools. So we got HTOP, IGMP proxies. I could probably see that on the firewall. Midnight Commander. Do you all remember Midnight Commander, the file manager? That's pretty cool, but don't run it on your router. 7-zip. So what you can do is you can do 7-zip on your router and then choose a weak password, and then they'll ransom your router using 7-zip passwords like they're ransoming QNAP boxes. I don't know why you need 7-zip on your firewall. Maybe if you're downloading other packages, it's going to need it. I don't know why you need a PostScript interpreter or PDF interpreter. This makes me sigh and be sad. PowerTop I can get. DD Rescue. Don't know why you'd need to do data recovery on your firewall. Wireless monitor, I get that. Sysbench, maybe. So like if you're running IPFire on different hardware and you want to benchmark it and see. Bob Carpenter, you'll notice that I skipped the Telnet one on purpose. Telnet should be dead. Let's see. There are still new systems that use Telnet, so unfortunately it is not dead yet. So system monitoring, we got a log watcher. I don't know how I feel about that. Watchdog is a service to automatically restart IPFire in the event of a failure. That's cool. Monit, a Zabbix agent. So if you're using Zabbix, that's yeah. Jacob Johnson is right. If you're going to open Telnet, open it to the internet. Yes. See, we were in lockstep on that, Jacob. Kevin has a question for us here real quick. I volunteer at a theater in Port Burwell, Ontario, Canada, and we're installing a new Wi-Fi with guest Wi-Fi and wondering what hardware you recommend. Well, Kevin, that's going to depend on several factors. How many users do you think you're going to be supporting? What kind of devices it's going to be? What kind of infrastructure you've already got in place. So if you can put that in the comments, I can give you a little bit of a better idea of what I'd be thinking. Right. David says that their tagline for IPFire for these add-ons should be just because we can. Okay. So, kernel checking, who's online? Proxy enhancements, probably Squid accounting. So you can generate bills. That's interesting. So if you're maybe charging back internet usage, I could see that maybe in like a shared housing scenario or multi-dwelling unit scenario where you could do that. So that's probably UPS tools. Definitely would like to have that. It looks like they've got a user interface extension, and then IPFire is a virtualization host. Don't turn your firewall into a hypervisor. Don't do it. Don't do it. If you're gonna do it, send me $50. All right, so back to that. But I am telling you that just running it as a firewall by itself it's a great piece of software, so you should check it out. So, and of course, OPNsense, we love this way better than pfSense at this point. I mean, there's several factors. If you just look at the general way that the pfSense community has treated people, that's most of the reason that most people need to move away. OPNsense gives you updates faster. You can buy in to the business side of it, and you can do selective updates, so you don't have to take all the updates. So let's see, back to the comments. Yeah, Noodle's not sure. Yeah, the notifications, plus it's midnight. I don't know what time it is where you're at, but let's see. Firewall hypervisor almost fell on the ground on how useful this thing can be. Yeah. Let's just let it be a firewall, right? So like that is, will IPFire run Windows XP? Robert, yes, it will if you run it as a hypervisor. But if you're gonna do that, I'm gonna fine you $50. So I'll shoot that over a PayPal invoice because you have just offended absolutely everyone by turning your IPFire firewall into a virtualization host, into a hypervisor. Hey, Cody. Cody's channel's growing like weeds over there, and his TikTok's growing too. Congratulations, Cody. Cody, you missed a lot of conversation about firewalls and software and things that we don't think you should do on your firewall, like turn your firewall into a virtualization host. So like, I lost my train of thought on that. Let's see. Doug says every time, and I mean every time over the years, any company starts adding features ad nauseum, they're on the way out, at least for that package. Yeah, a lot of those packages will probably be unmaintained and, be in and out of there. So I was at a doctor's appointment the other day, and they're actually still running Windows 7, which was kind of concerning. And my son actually picked it up that it was Windows 7. We were sitting in the room, and he looked over, and I'm like, "Is that?" And he goes, "Yeah, that's Windows 7." And I was like, "Huh, interesting." So Oh yeah, I know what I was talking about. So there used to be some instructions, and you can probably still find them, right? So since the edge router runs a modified version of IATA and runs on top of a Debian platform, edge routers, you can actually add third-party repositories. I think I actually did a video on it, but I'm actually kind of against it depending on what you're installing, because people want to install all kinds of crazy shit on their EdgeRouter X and then wonder why it performs really, really bad. And it's like, it's an EdgeRouter X and you've added all kinds of third-party software to it. Don't just let the EdgeRouter X do what Ubiquiti has given it the power to do using its built-in command set that comes with it. Don't extend it. Just run it. Let it do its thing, you know? So, yeah. Jack rocks a MikroTik RB3011 ISRM in his network lab. He also has 4 EdgeRouter X routers for labbing up various scenarios. I paid $39.99 at Newegg a couple of years ago. Yeah. But here's the thing, Cody. Your Protectly box, just like the one I've got here, is made to be a hypervisor, right? What we're talking about, so if you haven't seen IPFire, Cody, go check it out. It's a Linux-based distribution. Like I said, I have run it. And they have a whole lot of add-ins that when you, that's what Jacob Johnson's right. So they've got a whole lot of add-ins that when you look at it, you're going to like scratch your head and be like, why would you run this? Don't run it on your firewall. Don't do it. Willie's going to fine you $50 US. Don't do it. So sometimes we want to let the devices just be the devices. So yeah, so Cody, I'm going to run VMware. You're running XCP-ng. But that's what the device is for, right? You're not using that device as a firewall and then doing all this other stuff. So when you see the IPFire video, you will, if you see plugins, add-ons, you won't see most of these, right? So it's just another way of thinking about it, I guess. You know what? AS400s are still very popular for some companies. Their ERP systems run on that old IBM hardware, and the processors are as big as a damn shoebox. So, all right, back to the comments here. So yeah, I've actually got a bunch of MikroTik gear. I've got big MikroTik switch. You're going to see I've got like 3 routers. One of them's rack mounted. The rest, I got a bunch of APs and stuff. So yeah, I'm a super duper fan of the MikroTik gear. And a lot of people that I see that aren't fans of the MikroTik gear, it's because MikroTik has a learning curve. And sometimes people are just looking for the low-hanging fruit. And MikroTik will make you learn networking and stuff like that. So that's most of the time when people say they don't like MikroTik, it's because they don't have the capacity to learn it or they don't want to learn it. And it will make you learn. So, yeah, it's an interesting point of view. I love learning different network operating systems because they all have their advantages and they all have their disadvantages, like this one. So let's talk about the EdgeRouter Infinity, which is my second favorite Ubiquiti edge router, right? So if you had to guess my favorite edge router, put it in the comments. What do you think my favorite edge router is? Put that in the comments. So my second favorite edge router is the Infinity, which has those 10 gig ports. However, we are finding limitations that we previously didn't know about in the software. And it's not that the EdgeRouter Infinity itself is limited, but it's actually the Edge OS. And so now a customer is going to have to take a different path with something than what they needed. All right, the guesses are coming into the comments about what my favorite edge router is. Bob Carpenter has guessed the EdgeRouter X. Barry has guessed the EdgeRouter 4. Mike has guessed the EdgeRouter 4. Tom Peters has guessed the EdgeRouter X. Joe guesses the one that I put in the garbage. So when we are looking at edge routers, Joe is wrong. He's dead wrong. My favorite EdgeRouter X. See, look at that. It was Freudian, right? So my favorite edge router is the EdgeRouter X. Why? Because you can pick them up between $39 and $59. And so there's absolutely no excuse, and it's easier to use if you don't want to learn a different operating system. So this MikroTik is way more powerful than an EdgeRouter X, and it's actually cheaper. But you have to know how to use this. And there's some okay resources. I need to dedicate some time and do a lot more videos on the MikroTik stuff, because I think there's a demand for it. But at these price points, right? I think I paid $39.99, $49.99 for this. At these price points, there's absolutely no excuse for people to have RDP ports open to the internet. In fact, I'm going to fine you if I see your RDP ports open to the internet. Whether you're going to pay or not is a different story, but you should not be opening RDP directly to the internet when firewalls cost less than $100. It's inexcusable and it's sloppy. Bob Carpenter, this one only has router OS. So a couple of my other devices do have router or switch OS. And we're going to get to those this year. So, Robert, my favorite is the USG. I do have a USG sitting here somewhere. I don't know where it went. It's under my hat. It's under my hat. But yeah, I mean, the USG for a single site that doesn't need much. I mean, if you want to run the UniFi stack, this thing's going to work great for you. So, yeah, I mean, Ubiquiti is obviously tired of it based on them hiding it on the site and you having to use the search bar. So, yeah, and Shodan was giving away, if you missed it, they were giving away premium access for $1 not that long ago. And Shodan is an invaluable tool. And when I have security talks with my clients, like somebody will be like, yeah, I got RDP open. I said, let me show you why that's a bad idea. You go to Shodan, you do an RDP search, and you show, and then I say, look, when you show up here, this is bad because when you show up on Shodan, people will be pinging, prodding, and poking your ports. No doubt about it. All right. So Kevin, Kevin says we have seating inside for 80 people in the theater, plus seating outside for 100 people, plus 2 conference rooms and an office. So we have capacity for around 250 people in the theater. Yeah. So, but what kind of, Kevin, what kind of network infrastructure do you already have? Oh, here we go. We'll be running PFSense as our firewall, and we'll be using FreePBX as our phone system. So you just took 2 big swings and misses from me. If you said you're going to run OPNsense, I'd have been like, all right, and PFSense is okay. It's okay. But I don't, like I said, the community thing sours it for me, right? The whole way that they treat people sours it for me big time. And FreePBX, the interface on it is a dumpster fire. So its interface for an end user is, and you're probably not the average end user, so I'm coming at it from through a different lens. But the FreePBX UI is bad as the it's as bad as the PFSense. And I don't know if you all follow FreePBX stuff on Twitter, but right now there's some conversations about some things that have not been addressed in PBX, FreePBX, and people are wondering if Sangoma is because they offer a paid module that fixes that problem. So people are wondering if they're going to drive FreePBX into the ground by not updating it and then just have people switch over to their paid platform, which kind of makes sense because they made a lot of acquisitions and stuff. But if you're going to pay for a PBX, don't make it FreePBX. Get a hold of us and we'll show you why Grandstream is going to roll over FreePBX. Let's see. Router OS 7 is coming. Yeah, so the beta is already out. So yeah, and we work on PFSense. So people buy the Netgate devices, and I mean, I probably have 24 customers that we support their PFSense. But more and more are going to OPNsense all the time, especially with some of this nonsense that's happening with the with PFSense and the whole WireGuard thing. I had a couple people get a hold of me over the whole WireGuard thing too. It was weird. So you cannot roll Grandstream, the Grandstream PBX into AWS, but I don't know why you would, run 3CX. AWS has some pre-built containers, and if you use their wizard, you can have 3CX up and running. 3CX is simple, so we do support 3CX as well. But most of the time we recommend on-prem, because the way we set our solution up is even if your PBX goes down or your internet goes down, your phones are still going to ring. Why not go with a sonic wall? Yeah, we pull out a lot of sonic walls and we pull out a lot of FortiGates, and I do a fair amount of reconfiguring the sonic wall, but we pull a lot of sonic walls and a lot of FortiGates out. Yeah, and Untangle is really great too, and they've got like a Untangle. We were running Untangle when the UI on the machine looked like does it still look like a virtual Raspberry? It's been a while since I've touched it. And then they went to their pay for play. So then we switched over to Endian Firewall for a couple of things. And I've still got some Endian boxes out there because it's got the content filtering built into it. So, but these days content filtering is a great use for the cloud. The AWS PBX trunk pricing. I didn't even, oh yeah, Amazon Chime though, they don't do their own 911. You have to get hooked up with Intrado. And I actually have, I'm paying for a Chime connector, and I don't even use it. AWS is like these other companies, they're like, oh, this is a great idea, we'll do it, but they really, and Joe, I'm sure I'm going to offend you, but they do these things and they don't really understand maybe the industry, because the folks over at Telnet can run circles around the Chime offerings. Yeah, and there's Joe right there telling you that he works for Chime. So, and every time Joe and I have had a Chime conference, it's ended up being choppy and not working well. So I don't know. Maybe they're a startup inside of AWS. I don't know. Maybe the Bezos isn't giving them the resources they need. I don't know. I love you, Joe. I'm just messing with you. Yeah, so 3CX is another thing that has 3CX has an amazingly clean interface. So I have a customer who uses 3CX with Grandstream handsets and administers the phone system himself, and it's super duper easy, and he really likes it. So, well, I think I've kept you all up late enough. I want to thank you all for being here. I'm going to get some sleep. I'm going to get up. I'm going to have some coffee with my wife, talk about the day's plans. It's supposed to be raining and stuff. So we'll see how the day turns out. There's a new barbecue place open, so I'm hoping to get some barbecue. It's called Mission Barbecue. Check it out if you've never seen it. First time we ever had Mission Barbecue was in Nashville, Tennessee, and now there's one in Peoria, Illinois. So, it's basically going to be a nap. But I want to thank you all for being here. And as always, if you need IT consulting, go down to williehowe.com, fill out our form. Someone will be in touch with you. And as always, I will